Hi, welcome to another session of Wing Chun. Today I'd like to talk about whether or not Wing Chun is useful or not. And I would have to say that Wing Chun is very, very useful. Obviously, this is a Wing Chun channel. But I have to really give the reason why it is useful and why a lot of people kind of misuse it and don't know how to use it when you see a lot of Wing Chun on in the internet, how they fail miserably. It's because they don't realize that it is a self-defense martial arts, and it's not good for competition. It's not geared towards competition, and they are using it in the wrong environment. Wing Chun is a very close fighting system, close in distance, where it only works well when your opponent is right in front of your face. This is extremely useful because we use the touch and contact to fight. We don't rely on our sight, and we work well in a confined area. And that is extremely useful in today's society. Because most fist fight happens in and around a bar in downtown at nighttime. Usually in and around a bar when people are drinking, they get a little bit stupid. That's where fights break out. In my city, there's usually in the summertime an ambulance parked right at the center of town because they know quite often that there are a lot of fist fights that happen. So that's why Wing Chun is very useful. But when your friends taunt you and say, well, let's spar and see if you have anything there, it becomes completely not useful, because when there's a big open space, we cannot really use the Wing Chun because people are just not going to get close to you. And they're not going to say, let's turn off the lights. We're going to, turn on all the lights, and we're going to get a gym and have a lot of open space. So in those cases where you can run around where it's a competition, Wing Chun is not useful at all. And in fact, a lot of Wing Chun moves are extremely dangerous and deadly. And those, I'll go into a bit later, those is not moves that you can use all the time because it's just too dangerous. Such as elbow strikes, kick in the groin, and so forth. You just can't do that in a competition. So that's why in a competition it's not very useful. But however, Wing Chun is a martial arts like most Kung Fu. It takes a hell of a long time to learn. It takes at least somebody a year to learn the basic curriculum. And then only after a year do you begin to understand how the applications are done and how to apply them. Because on this channel, I quite often stress that how you train properly the correct way in Wing Chun is actually not the way you use it in an application. It's completely different. How we train and how we apply it is totally different, and that confuses a lot of people. And that's why a lot of people get stumped. And when they start applying Wing Chun, they start applying it as if they were in a school in a way, in the same way they train, and that's why they find that it's not useful. It's because you don't really truly understand the essence of how it's used. And I can understand why, because it is a little bit confusing, and it will take people quite a long time to get used to that idea. The correct idea. A lot of schools may even not be teaching you how to apply it. They're just teaching you the curriculum. The other thing is that to fight in the Wing Chun way, it's a very awkward way. It's not a natural way to fight. So it's very, very hard to learn, because when you're pressed against an actual fighting situation, you actually kind of go back into your natural way of fighting, which is that tense kind of attitude, which is, it's not Wing Chun, and that's why it's extremely difficult to learn. And that's why it takes at least a year to learn your curriculum, and after a year do you actually start to understand how it is applied. So if you really want to, use it for an application, you want to take a martial arts and you want to use it in fighting, and you only have 6 months to do it in, and you don't have that kind of patience, well, don't take any Kung Fu and don't take any Wing Chun, because in 6 months' time, you really aren't going to learn anything in Wing Chun enough to really make a difference. In fact, it would be worse, because your head would be blown up with your ego, and you think that, you've learned some martial arts, you work really well for 6 months. In fact, 6 months is nothing. If you want only 6 months, yeah, by all means, go join a gym, take boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA. That would be way more effective in 6 months. Somebody taking 6 months of any of those other martial arts can probably kick the ass of somebody who's taken Wing Chun or Kung Fu for 6 months. But however, if you've taken Wing Chun for like several years and you really start to understand the concept behind this martial arts, then you could really go a long way. Reason for that is we don't really train you on your physical strength. In Wing Chun classes, we train only your skill level and techniques. Because, once a week you come to class and, it's a 2-hour class, let's say, and if the Sifu force you to do weight training and do exercises for endurance, you won't have time for Wing Chun. As simple as that. Whereas you go to a gym for boxing and you go to Muay Thai, you hear people grunting and punching and pounding the bag, and a lot of 60-80%, I don't know, most of the time they're training for your physical ability. But we don't do any of that, because you know what, if you want to train for your physical ability, you do that on your own. You go join a gym, you don't come to Wing Chun class. So that's why a lot of people, they take Wing Chun and they think, oh, I know how to fight. But no, of course you need to be physically fit. But of course that, you do it on your own. We don't have time for that. So, how effective is Wing Chun? Well, on the internet you see, several people using Wing Chun in the correct way, even in MMA. You got Tony Ferguson. He manages to know how to, he doesn't know Wing Chun perfectly, but he understands the essence of how it's used, and he uses it quite effectively, especially with the elbows. Now, I don't know why when people talk about elbows, first thing they come to mind is they think of is a Muay Thai. But hey, wait a minute. In our third form, Biuji, we have the first half of the entire exercise is all about elbows. And the interesting thing about our elbows is that they don't end up sideways. Most people do elbows and they go like this, and then they end up at a really vulnerable position where their body and their elbow is off-centered. And quite often you will miss, a lot of times, it doesn't mean that just because you throw in an elbow when the guy's in front of you that you're going to hit them. And more chance than likely, their elbow ends up on the side, which really gives them a really vulnerable position at that instant where they're going to get pounded. Whereas us Wing Chun, we have, all three of our elbows, we got the cup down from the top in our Biuji, and then we got the side down from the 45 degree, and then we got our straight elbow. And when we finish the elbow, we always end up where the elbow is still pointed towards your opponent. And this is extremely important about, shooting an elbow out, that at the end of this move, you are still attacking, because you can still move forward with your body and still continue to attack with that elbow, even though it's done. Whereas if you just do this kind of elbow, you're screwed. You can't really move forward, and you're facing the wrong way, and your elbow is facing nowhere. So Wing Chun elbow is extremely, extremely deadly and extremely useful. As well as another guy, Anderson Silva. You see him on YouTube, and he's been taking some Wing Chun lessons. And then you got the, you know, an MMA team, and this one of the instructors called Alan Orr Academy, Wing Chun Academy, and you can check out their sites. And he's one of the instructors there in his team, in his MMA team, and part of the curriculum is that he teaches Wing Chun in MMA. So Wing Chun is extremely useful in those cases. In fact, the elbow is so deadly that in the filming of Ip Man, Donnie actually broke Mike Tyson's finger with his elbow during the filming. Apparently, Mike threw a punch during the shoot, and his fist hit Donnie's elbow and then broke one of his fingers. So you know, the Wing Chun elbow is really, we don't really talk about it, and we don't practice it very much. But if you do use it, it is extremely deadly. Then you have after your third form of elbows in Byoji, you have the Byoji. Okay, so Byoji is the jab in the eyes, as you can see in MMA, and here are some clips and links in the description below. Eye jabs are extremely effective. Obviously, these are things that you will use if someone is picking on you and you're losing the fight. And let's say, you know, you're a 120-pound guy and some 200-pound guys start picking on you, and you can't run away. Well, you have no choice. Or if it's a man picking on a woman, you got no choice. You got to do the eye jab. And if you see in MMA, it's extremely effective. And then all of our low kicks, extremely effective too. Low kicks in the balls, or low kicks in the shin, very useful. Once again, this is a self-defense martial arts in Wing Chun, if you know how to apply it. I can't say for anything else. If anybody wants to try it, I think you should really give it a shot. Notice it's not a complete system where you can do it on the ground, where you can fight far away. It is a very specialized martial arts where it's very useful in dim lighting and when your opponent is trying to pick on you where they're right in front of you. So, you know, do some more research and have fun and keep practicing if you're already doing it. I hope you find this interesting, and have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.